Hi everyone, I'm Danny. I am a front of house lead here at Proof Bread in Shea, and I am also the market coordinator for Proof. So anytime you see us at one of our farmers markets, I'm one of the folks who helps to organize that, to get everything there, and make sure that on a lovely Saturday or Sunday morning, you're able to grab some fresh bread and pastries from anywhere in the valley. Today I'm going to walk you through kind of our case here at Shea and show you all the items that we have and give you a little background on them. This is our French loaf. So it's made using our organic, whole grain, minimally processed flour. The thing that separates this from a baguette is that it has a little bit of butter and brown sugar in the dough, so it makes it a lot fluffier. You can see it's a lot puffier and round. The baguette is made from the same thing as like our country sourdough, so it's the only ingredients are flour, salt, water, and the sourdough starter. It's got a really good crust. This is the chocolate cherry, so this is our kind of Valentine's Day loaf. It's got a dark chocolate and then dried Bing cherries in there, and then it uses the same type of dough as our fruit and nut boule and our green olive. So the green olive, these are green Sevillano olives from Queen Creek here in Arizona. This one is really great with like pasta. This is currently my girlfriend's favorite bread. The fruit and nut boule is also, that's my favorite. This has dried cranberries and walnuts in there. We tend to switch out the fruit and the nut, but we found that the cranberry walnut tends to be the most popular one. The sandwich loaf, this one is kind of our most approachable if folks have never had sourdough before or don't have super great experience with kind of rustic breads. So this one is very similar. It's almost the exact same dough to the French loaf, but it's baked in what's called a Pullman pan. So it's a rectangular pan that kind of helps the bread to mimic what you get at like the grocery store, but it's still made using sourdough. It's still our organic flour. It's got the organic European style butter in there and a little bit of brown sugar to make it fluffy. And this one is really great for like kids who've never had sourdough before. It's kind of a great like gateway bread. Jalapeno cheddar is always a bestseller. Organic Wisconsin cheddar and fresh sliced jalapenos packed in there, and we literally stuff it until it can't be stuffed anymore. Croissant is a really, really interesting bread. This is made from an ancient grain, originally from Persia. It's made from a wheat berry that we actually grind ourselves in-house. So the way we make it, we grind the flour, a really like kind of rough grind, and then we turn it basically into porridge and then add it to our country sourdough. And what that does, that extra hydration, you can see it's so much more fluffy than our country sourdough because of all that extra water. And it's got just a tiny bit of honey, but what it does is really mellows out the flavor. It's a kind of, you still taste the sourdough, you still taste that fermentation, but it's also a much milder, almost nutty taste. So our seeded multigrain is very similar to our country sourdough in a lot of ways, but it also has the addition of 12 different types of grains in here. So you've got everything from cracked rye, sunflower seeds, sesame, you have like cracked whole wheats, flax seeds. This is a really, really lovely loaf. Whenever folks ask if we make rye bread, which we're currently in the process of doing, I always point them to the seeded multigrain because it's got that same really dense texture and those whole grains, and that crust is absolutely phenomenal. The country sourdough, that's the original. That's where the magic is. The only ingredients, just like the baguette, are organic whole grain flour, salt, water, and our sourdough starter. So these are our sourdough croissants. So this is kind of the basis for every pastry that we make, except for the chocolate chip cookies, of course. So the sourdough croissants, they use our organic whole grain, minimally processed flour, sugar and butter. The butter is added to the dough where we add it in sheets, and then we run it through a machine called a laminator. And so that's what gives you the really, really distinct layers of the croissant. The rosemary twist, we take the croissant dough, slice it into threes, and then make it into kind of almost a Danish braid. And then we top it with fresh rosemary and Maldon sea salt. For the almond croissant, this filling in here that you can kind of see it on the underside here, that's almond frangipane. So it's kind of an almond, like a whipped almond cream, for lack of a better word. And that has a little bit of egg, it's got sugar, a tiny bit of natural vanilla extract in there. And then we take our croissant, we roll a bar of the baked frangipane, bake it, and top it with fresh sliced almonds. For a pain au chocolat, this is a classic at any place where you can get a croissant. They'll also have a pain au chocolat. This is a semi-sweet European-style chocolate that we roll into two little batons and then roll into a croissant. So it's a little bit of a different shape than the classic, croissant shape, but still a really, really delicious little package. The morning bun is definitely one of our best sellers and also one of my favorite things. It's a cinnamon roll essentially, but made of croissant dough. So you can see it's got those really distinct flaky layers. So it's actually a lot lighter than your like classic Cinnabon cinnamon roll, where I can't finish one of those. I could probably finish 3 of these right now if I wanted. The DNA chocolatine is a really, really cool kind of play on our pain au chocolat. So it's made with our same organic sourdough pastry, but instead of the European style chocolate, we actually have a dark chocolate that's made right here in Chandler, Arizona. Well, not right here, but very close by in Chandler, Arizona. And DNA is the name of the chocolatier. So it's in a really, really delicious kind of dark chocolate croissant that we actually only have here in the bakeries. Our danishes, today this is a blueberry lemon flavor that we actually made in-house. We get our all of our curds from Culture Clash, which is a local yogurt producer, as well as they make like fresh jams and curds. So they send us really, really delicious like buckets full of curd, and so we make our danishes from that. So normally we do a lemon danish, and then we've done pumpkin, we've done strawberry, we've done key lime, we've done watermelon, but right now we decided to experiment and do these really lovely blueberry lemon danishes. Our twice baked almond is also one of the most popular things that we make. The twice baked almond is made by taking leftover almond and sourdough croissants. We slice them in half, fill them with more of the almond frangipane, soak them in sugar syrup, squish them down, and then bake them again. So what you get instead of this really flaky, puffy pastry is you get a really dense pastry from all the layers being crushed down, all the sugar syrup kind of crystallizing inside of it. You get an almost chewy, like cookie texture. The chocolate peanut butter croissant, twice baked, it takes the exact same thing, but we make our own homemade peanut butter. We stuff it inside of the leftover DNA and pain au chocolats, soak it in the sugar syrup, and then bake it again. And so this is almost like this to me tastes like the most luxurious Reese's cup I've ever had in my life, and it's kind of ruined Reese's cups for me. And then last but not least, we have our homemade sourdough English muffins. So this is made in a very similar way to classic English muffins. We don't make them on a stovetop, we make them in our deck oven right here, but it's all sourdough using our organic whole grain flour. You can see on the back, we've got that classic cornmeal. And then if you look right here through the bag, you've got our really, really good crust on there. And I can show you a fresh one if you want. So this one just came out this morning. Got that really nice cornmeal on the bottom, and then we've got a really nice solid crust on the bottom. And the best way that I like to use these, I just stick a fork in the side and pry it open so you get all those nooks and crannies and melt some butter on top. And I have a stash of these in my freezer for any time I have a breakfast emergency.